gotta know one thing. Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
What's up, Philadelphia? We are live, broadcasting from the beautiful new media studios right outside of Philadelphia. Welcome to the 2017 Week 2 edition of the 4th and JAWN podcast. Fresh off of our trip to DC, and Redskins fans, I got 3 words for you. You like that. You like that. No, they don't like that, because we were down there in DC seeing the whole thing, and boys and girls, there was an absolute sea of green there, taking over FedEx Field. And all week I've been hearing inside the or from the media, right? From the hosts of Philly Sports Talk Radio, how this is a must-win game. There's no such thing as a must-win game in week 1 of the NFL season. You got 15 of them sons of bitches to go make it up. But what I did pound the table and say is that this was a statement game. It is a statement game when you go down to D.C. and you beat a team that you have been unable to beat for 5 straight games, put as much pressure on the quarterback as they did against Kirk Cousins, seal the deal with 2 defensive turnovers. 1 went for 7. Carson Wentz looked unbelievable. The new offensive weapons looked fantastic. And I don't want to get into all these negatives that I'm hearing people get into on a Monday after a huge Eagles win. Right now, baby, you are looking at the 1-0 Philadelphia Eagles.
Hey!
And, yes, sir. And on that trip down to D.C. with me was the dude to my left, Mr. Gail Saunders, Eagles Sessions on Twitter. How you feeling about this win, baby?
Feeling great. I mean, this win is something that we needed. We got the monkey off our back, right? We went down there. Anytime you get a road win in the NFL, it's a big deal. You can't not just, a road win is a road win. In a hostile environment, not so much, because we took over the stadium. God damn, it was like about 60-40 Eagle fans in there.
I would say at least it was definitely over a quarter. I would say around a third. A third of the fan base in there was wearing midnight green.
Yeah. I mean, but the biggest thing for me, we overcame adversity.
Yeah.
We lost Darby. It could be 4 to 6 weeks. Could be longer. You never know. But the way that the team rebounded was excellent. And the defense. Jim Schwartz. Bring in the blitz.
And Schwartz, I trust.
That was the biggest thing, man. We saw something from our defense we haven't seen in a while, like a strong front. 3 of our 4 starters had sacks. Some guys had multiple. A lot of pressure. And it definitely busted the pipes of Kirk Cousins. So.
Oh, absolutely. And we're gonna get into Jim Schwartz a little later, because we got a soundbite of his press conference today. It was, so we're gonna get into that a little later. Some of the fugazi, you know exactly where I'm going with it. But we're gonna talk about that later. Next up is my dude Philly Mike. Philly Mike, how you doing, baby?
What is up, fellas? Humongous win. Fucking humongous win. And tell you what, that defense, top 5 defense this year. Nothing but pressure all on Cousins. And I said last week, we had to give Cousins pressure the whole entire game. And I'm just so glad that actually happened. Schwartz actually blitzed a lot, which we rarely ever see him do. So I just really think top 5 defense this year, guys. Call it.
Even without Darby?
Even without Darby.
Well, and the Darby news being out 4 to 6 weeks is actually the best thing that Eagles fans could hear, considering that dude's ankle, that dude's foot was bent like a paperclip. That was gruesome, man.
Did you see when he tried to put it back in place?
It
just wouldn't go. That was the worst part.
They even had Twitter videos, like Bleacher Report was posting the gruesome Ronald Darby injury. I can't.
He needs some milk.
He definitely needed some milk on that one, and I am not watching those videos, dude, because I get squeamish with that kind of stuff.
I had to force Classic Jeff to watch it when we were there. So just watch it.
I wouldn't do it.
You watch it for the culture. The culture.
Exactly. And down there with Classic Jeff, of course, we're going to get into that away game trip a little bit later. Working the soundboard today. My man, Evan Bubblegum here. He's got himself
You like that?
He's got himself a new toy. I love it.
I'm loving it. And you know what else I was loving? I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but that D-line was eating on Sunday, man. They couldn't be stopped, and it's very promising to see us get after the quarterback. I know Jim Schwartz isn't really a blitzing guy, but damn, did they get after the quarterback. They looked like a bunch of police dogs in training, running after that guy in the giant-ass suit. That was the quarterback. That was Kirk Cousins, and he was on the fucking run all day long, and it was awesome to watch.
It was awesome to watch. The rotation was doing such an incredible job of you didn't feel a drop-off. Mm-hmm. Like when Brandon Graham was in, he was bringing the heat. Mm-hmm. And then when he was out, Chris Long was out. Vinny Curry, a guy who was missing all of last year, who got heavily criticized because he wasn't living up to that contract. Oh, it was a bad signing by Howie. Fat contract, but if he continues to play like this, I mean...
half a tackle.
Well, he had an MCL injury last year, so maybe, he's bringing the heat. And when you look at all these overthrows that Kirk Cousins had during the game, these are all off pressures. And he had guys open. And that was promising to see, man.
It was.
Yeah, when you see Kirk Cousins, now he hung in there tough. I'll give credit to Kurt on that. He hung in there tough, man.
He did.
He took some shots. It was like, oof, bro. Boy, stay down. Just stay down, please. For the love of God, don't get back up. But Jim Schwartz kept bringing that heat. He also dialed in the blitz, which I was kind of impressed with, that he was real. I don't think the Redskins expected that.
No.
I don't think they expected that at all. He knew exactly the time to do it, and they were effective on the blitz.
Yeah, I mean, Jim Schwartz last season blitzed 20% of the time on third down, ranked 20th in the NFL last season. Looks like he might be stepping up this blitz. You saw, some exotic blitzes.
Yeah.
He sent Patrick Robinson on the Cox sack on that one play. He sent Malcolm Jenkins. And
they're coming from all angles.
And he sent linebackers with safeties and corners at the same time. Beautiful.
It is.
Beautiful.
Quarterback's got no time.
Do I dare say it reminded me of another Jim?
Jimmy Johnson.
JJ.
Jimmy, it was
Stay off the weed.
Jimmy Johnson, he knew exactly what to do as far as taking away what you do best. And you didn't see, Jordan Reed, he had 36 yards. 36 yards. That's it. The longest reception he had was 9 yards. Here's a guy that was killing the Eagles. He was an Eagle killer. He was like the Brian Mitchell of this Redskins era. No matter what or the Chris Cooley. No matter what you did, he was going to kill you. And that's exactly what happened. They held him to only 5 receptions for 36 yards. He was almost a non-factor in the game. And that's what Jim Johnson used to be able to do. Take away what you do best and dare you to what you do weakest. So what did he do? He rushed the passer. He got after the quarterback, disrupted the timing of all the plays. They couldn't go deep. Terrell Pryor, I'm looking at it here, 66 yards. That's nothing to write home about. You mean to tell me this Redskins team right now is missing Deshaun Jackson, Pierre Garçon right now?
They sure
Damn straight
they were especially missing when that ball went through his arms.
Absolutely. And we were in the corner of the end zone when that ball went through his arms. Dude, he was up, but there was a flag on that play, right?
Yeah, that was a hold on Jordan Reed. He was basically trying to tackle Brandon Graham on a pressure. Would have been a sack. They had like 2 tight ends on him. He was on a tear, though.
And the reason why I bring Jim Johnson's name up is because I want to get into this Jim Schwartz thing just a little bit. Because Jeff McClain wrote a piece, right, where according to unnamed sources and unnamed players and multiple personnel people, that Jim Schwartz was... what's the word he used? Usurp?
Usurp.
You trying to usurp?
Sipping on usurp.
Usurp. Not me, usurp. He was trying to usurp Doug Peterson for the head coaching job. Listen, I'm not a Trump supporter in any way, shape, or form, but there is a truth to fake news, and if across all media, and if there was ever Eagles fake news, this would fucking be it. Because it was...
The timing was so whack.
It's grasping for straws, really.
Yeah. First of all, how can you say this kind of shit before week 1? Season hasn't even played out.
Before the game.
Before the game.
Even with the Michael Lombardi bullshit, too, even before the game started. He was saying that in all his, 20 years or something like that, he has never seen a terrible head coach as what Doug Pearson is. Yeah, exactly. And then what the Eagles do, they get the W and do a Gatorade bath to Dougie.
Coming from a guy who has not been able to hold down a front office position for more than 5 years, a guy who was fired by the Cleveland Browns, let go by the Cleveland Browns after 1 year, is going to come up here and criticize Doug Peterson. Now, listen, I realize that Doug Peterson doesn't have the most extensive head coaching, resume on the earth. But you mean to tell me he's the least qualified for as long as that dude's been around, he's the least qualified head coach that he's ever seen? I have a hard time believing that. And I have a hard time believing the story that Jim Schwartz is trying to usurp his way past Doug Peterson. Because let me tell you something. The way, freaking Jeffrey Lurie, I'm trying to go back, right? Jeffrey Lurie brought Doug Peterson in to basically replicate the way Andy Reid used to run the Eagles. And when Andy Reid used to run the Eagles, and this is why I brought Jim Johnson, besides the fact that he was blitzing so much, Jim Johnson had full autonomy of that defense. Andy Reid did not mess with the defense. That was Jim Johnson's baby. He didn't pick the players. Did he have final say did Andy Reid have final say over the roster? Absolutely. But did he pick the players? No. Did he have anything to do with the defensive game plan? No. And Jim Schwartz is the type of guy to walk in the building like he has a big dick. It's just the way he is. That's what your defensive, big dick status. That's the way your defensive coordinator, that's the way you want him. You want him to have an attitude. You want him to be brash. You want him to be bold. But in no way, shape, or form does that mean he's trying to take Doug Peterson's job. Freaking Jeffrey Lurie just got done with Chip Kelly, and as far as all that power struggle, right, between Howie Roseman, Chip Kelly. At the end of Andy's tenure, it was all about power struggle. Right. You mean to tell me that Jeffrey Lurie is going to put himself in a position where he has to deal with another power struggle again? Get the entire fuck out of here with this article. It's bullshit.
No, you're right.
I didn't even read the article because I was so just like, dude, the timing of this article is so whack. I think it's clickbait. I'm not going to read it.
How do you make that judgment after a guy has been a head coach for one season? I just don't get it.
Well, he came in
with before the first game, and he had a rookie QB last year. The dude literally has had the smallest morsel of a chance that he could possibly have, and I don't know how you could say that Jim Schwartz is going to take over after we've seen next to nothing.
I mean, you can hypothetically think it.
Yeah, because Jim Schwartz excels in just taking care of the defense. Yeah. Like E said, Jim Johnson, he really excelled when he just had to take care of the defense, and Andy let him do that, and that allowed Andy to focus more on the offense and spend more majority of his time doing that. Where I think that same sort of dynamic needs to happen, where Jim Schwartz, I just don't think he's a head coach cutout. I don't know. I love him as a defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And there are some coordinators out there that have always been better coordinators than they have head coaches. But to say that he's gunning for Doug Peterson's job specifically is for bogus. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that given the opportunity, Jim Schwartz would love the opportunity to coach in the NFL again. But what the fuck makes you think it's going to be here?
Yeah.
Especially Doug Peterson's year 2 going into this thing. It's just so ridiculous. I don't even want to spend any more time on it because it's complete bullshit. But just to put it to bed, let's go with the audio that Jim Schwartz gave during his press conference today.
I'll say this unequivocally. I am very comfortable with my relationship with Doug Peterson, and I know he's comfortable in his relationship with me. And what I do here is I work extremely hard to execute the defense the way that he has outlined it for me, okay? And I'm very comfortable in that. And not everybody is privy to those instructions. So if anybody misunderstands or misinterprets any actions, just know this. Coach Peterson is aware of everything that I do in this building, outside of the building. And, maybe they're not privy to it. I'll give you an example, and it was just a half hour ago.
Put some sleeves
Coach
on, son.
Peterson has a rule in the cafeteria that you can't wear tank tops or no sleeves in the cafeteria. Well,
This
he
ain't
wasn't in
Venice
the
Beach.
cafeteria, but I was. And there was an offensive player that had no sleeves on. And I tapped him and said, you got to get out. You got to get sleeves on. Now, I know as a head coach, when I served that, I wanted people around the building that were enforcing my rules. And I did that for him. I respect that. I respect that position, and I'm going to execute the job the way that he outlined it for me. And I think anything else we can't really worry about.
There it is.
Why the hell are they still enforcing Sam Bradford's rules?
Yeah,
they want these fucking sleeves. Like,
safe space.
I don't get it.
We want a safe space for Sam Bradford.
They don't want Lane Johnson's sweaty man pits, like, you know what I mean, letting off that stank.
Getting into mashed potatoes.
Yeah, getting into mashed potatoes. Oh, the taters, they taste a little laney today. I don't know what that extra spice is right there. But, dude, we had a shout out to my boy Classic Jeff. I know he's going to listen to this podcast.
Classic man.
Hooking us up with, literally, they called them the dream seats down there in D.C. Front row, corner of the end zone. We had an amazing time. And let me just touch on this real quick, because I grew up going to Philadelphia Eagles games, right? That's where we were on Sunday. So you get used to the way Philadelphia is. And you hear things like Philadelphia fans are the most passionate fans in the NFL, or Philadelphia fans are the most intelligent fans in the NFL, or they take their football seriously. They live and die. And as you get older, just being at the link or at the vet, you take that with a grain of salt. Because every time you hear somebody talk when they won a championship, oh, the Lakers fans are the best. Thank you. You know, they're holding up the trophy. Lakers fans, the best fans in the NFL. And crowd goes, okay, yay. Or the Blackhawks win the Stanley Cup, and they thank you, Blackhawk fans. You're the best fans in the NHL. Yeah, oh, yay. So you almost think that, like, Philadelphia is the same. It's the same as Philadelphia. No
they
matter
just haven't been able to make that announcement.
Well, no. No matter where you go, and the more well-traveled I become, especially the last couple years, going on road trips with Gail, the more I realize that perhaps all the credit that I've given to this fan base, I underrated them. Because we went down to Baltimore last year. It was their last home game of the season. They were in a playoff hunt, and a third of that stadium was empty. Yep. True or false?
Very true.
We go down to Washington, D.C., that stadium is filled to capacity, although there were some tarps over the seats with some advertisements, but we're not going to get into that. So, the stadium was filled to capacity.
Jets game last year?
The Jets game.
A lot of Eagle fans. And I don't know whether that's a credit to Eagles fans for just traveling well, or if that's a negative against. I was shocked. Shocked. When we rolled up there, the diehards roll up there very early. Uh-huh. You think their fan base is going to be like the first half of that first row of cars were Eagle fans. Mm-hmm. I was like, what? Then when we start tailgating, there are Cowboys fans, there are Patriots fans, there are Steeler fans. Just all random.
I saw a Dolphins fan.
I saw a Cowboy fan.
Were these people lost?
It's the most random ass tailgate.
Did they look confused?
All I know is the Eagles fans are doing the chant. The chant that we got on the Eagles Twitter page.
Oh yeah.
That was pretty dope. Mm-hmm.
And you know what? The Redskins fans weren't so bad. We made friends with the Redskins fans that were sitting next to us, like we do every game. We're not there to cause any trouble, or try to get in a fight or anything like that. We always make friends with the opposing fans that we're sitting next to. Mm-hmm. But it was a great time. They were the Redskins fans that were there. They broke a little bit of balls, but they understood football's football, and we had a great time. And speaking of getting into the gates open at 9:00, I don't know who the fuck does that. That is the most ridiculous from a tailgate lifer. Mm-hmm. Who goes down to the stadium and is parked in line to get into when the gates open at 5:45? How the fuck you open up your gates at 9:00? What kind of tailgate is that? The amateur hour. Mm-hmm. It was amateur hour out there. You didn't see any big RVs. You didn't see any big painted up trucks. You didn't see. That's why the more I travel to Baltimore, to MetLife, to D.C., I realize that this fan base deserves every single ounce of credit that they got coming to you. And I'm sorry, Redskins fans. I know there's some Redskins fans I have on Twitter. I know there's some Redskins fans that listen to this, okay? I'm sorry that we took over your stadium. Not my fault. Yeah, check your own people. I'm sorry that the Redskins lost and look as pathetic as they did. Yeah, man, check your own team, man.
Eagle fans are rolling deep in that stadium. You're just looking around like, when you want to look to somebody to point. Yeah, you could point a 360 degree. There was an Eagle fan just loving every minute of it. It was great.
Anytime the camera was on the crowd, you could always count more than a handful of Eagles fans in the stands. So
they were chanting the whole fucking game, dude.
Wow, that's crazy. And that really is a credit to the Eagles fans. And again, you guys are, for as much as they talk about your passion and everything, you guys are underrated. But I want to go to a guy who was there with us for the game. On the phone lines, my boy DC Daryl, who was live, baby. Yeah, live down in DC. How you doing, Daryl?
First of all, I'm doing well. But I have a nice little song that you guys would enjoy. Fail to the Redskins. They failed this victory.
Yes.
The birds were on the warpath. We shit on all. Let's go birds, man.
Oh, dude,
I love it.
Oh,
Yes, love it.
dude, that song right there just brought a little tear to my eye, DC.
Give him some milk.